Over my lifetime, I've played thousands of hours of video games. Some have been fantastic open world adventures like Minecraft. Others were complex strategy games where a single turn could be the difference between winning and losing. But I had never quite played a game like Hollow Knight. Although simple in its design, being a Metroidvania-style platforming game, the characters, story, music, and environments of the game were breathtaking to behold. Few games are as story-dense as Hollow Knight. Its story, while not directly given to the player, is told through dialogue, cutscenes, and glowing stones called lore tablets. While simple in its concept, the choices your character make have actual meaning for the rest of the game, and those choices have real effects, changing which of the game's main endings you get. Fair warning, spoilers for the story ahead. To summarize the story is hard to do as it is very complex. Some videos I've seen on the topic have been over 2 hours long, but I'll try my best to keep it concise. That being said, take this summary with a grain of salt, as I'll have to cut out a few details. Our story begins when a worm known as the White King founds Hollow Nest as a city for bugs. Bringing together the different tribes of the land, he builds a vast city that lives in harmony for some time. It's during this peaceful time that the White King learns of a mysterious substance called the Void, and begins experiments with it. Unfortunately, for some unknown reason, an ancient god that was once worshipped by the moths, known as the Radiance, is awoken, and starts reaping havoc on Hollow Nest, turning the city's citizens into zombie-like forms of themselves. Because of this, fearing that Hollow Nest might be lost forever, the White King forms a plan to trap the Radiance in a vessel, sealing it away so that it can do no more harm. Using his own eggs infused with the Void, he creates hollow vessels, and when he believes he has found the perfect one, he seals the Radiance away. This perfect vessel was known as the Hollow Knight. While the Radiance was sealed away, the destruction of Hollow Nest was too great, and its citizens were forced to abandon their homes. Many years later, the seal on the Hollow Knight grows weak, because although nearly perfect, the Hollow Knight had an affection for his father, the White King, which the Radiance was able to use to weaken the seal. It's at this point that the player character enters the story. Like the Hollow Knight, you play as a hollow vessel, and, like the Hollow Knight, you can choose to seal the Radiance away inside yourself, or you can choose not to. What is for certain is that your choices affect the future of Hollow Nest, and only you can save it. The city of Hollow Nest is vast, with hundreds of little secrets and passageways to discover, along with gorgeous backgrounds and scenery at every turn. One of the main areas, known as the Green Path for example, is rich with plant life, and the terrain and obstacles change to reflect that. Instead of classic spikes, you are often met with pools of beautifully colored turquoise acid. The enemies also change, with more plant-like insects becoming prominent the deeper you get. This contrasts greatly with some of the other areas of the game, making it not only unique, but making its purpose story-wise stand out among the other areas. Each of the main areas was once home to a different tribe of bugs, that the White King was once in alliance with. Because of this, the story comes as naturally. As you discover new areas, new parts of the story can be found. This lends itself to the enjoyability of the game, as you constantly feel like you're discovering something new. My personal favorite areas of the game are the hot springs. While they aren't necessarily as story-rich as some of the other areas, the music, environment, and overall mood of the areas is truly relaxing, and makes me wish I could visit one of them in real life someday. On that note, the music of Hollow Knight is something to marvel at on its own. From its action-oriented fighting music to its soothing, more down-to-earth exploration music, you always have a sense of mystery and discovery, which in a game as spectacular as Hollow Knight adds greatly to the scale of the game. If you want to know more about how the music of Hollow Knight influences the game, I'd highly recommend watching 8-Bit Music Theory's video on them, as he has a way of explaining music so that someone even as musically illiterate as me can understand. One final point I'd like to touch on is how the game plays. While story and atmosphere are important, at the end of the day, it's still a game, and it must not only be entertaining, but accessible to players. To put it simply, Hollow Knight is a difficult game. In my first playthrough of the game, which I might add, I still have not beaten, I have died a ton of times. That being said, when I do succeed and pass a section, I get a real sense of pride and accomplishment that I wouldn't have if I had beaten it easily. The controls, while easy to learn, are difficult to master, and if you're like me, having no other experience with this genre of games, getting used to them can be difficult at first. But in the end, learning the game is half the fun. As you progress, you gain access to new items that help you traverse the underground monstrosity that is Hollow Nest more easily. These steadily add more complex controls to the game, allowing you to master them one at a time before moving on to the next. On a playability standpoint, I'd still recommend the game. While you die often and the game can be difficult, it's easily overshadowed by the excitement you gain from beating the next boss or discovering some new secret. That being said, it might be a good idea to try an easier game first if you're new to video games as a whole. The creators of Hollow Knight, Team Cherry, clearly loved the game they made, and as I'm writing this, that love was rewarded by its player base, as the game is sitting pretty at an overwhelmingly positive review on Steam. Its fans are also excited for the upcoming sequel, Silksong, which will continue this already beautifully elaborate story of Hollow Nest even further into greatness. Hopefully Silksong will be just as visually and emotionally interesting as Hollow Knight. I've been Existore, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe, as it helps me out and it helps out the channel. If you have something to add or just want to say hi, leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to reply. Sorry last week's video was a tad bit late. I'm back on my schedule now, so that shouldn't happen again. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.